Hey everybody, welcome back to Nick's Mini Bikes. Today we're just going to do a bunch of odd things on the Trike build. We're going to get our wheel spacer made for the front, our split sprocket put on there, the engine put on, our thumb throttle, and throttle cable put on in this video. So come along for the ride and let's jump on in. I'm going to work on getting my front wheel spacer made. This is a CT200U-EX front end, same axle and everything. And I found that these Hillman 5/8 metal spacers fit on there pretty good. We're just going to have to cut them to length. So I got 3 of them on that axle now, and they're 1.5 inches long. So I got a little space there, so I need to make up that space right there. And that space is 13/16. So we'll do some math. 1/2 times 3 plus 13/16. And that's going to equal 5 5/16 worth of spacing that we have to put on both sides. So 5 5/16 divided by 2, and that'll give us the length of the spacers on each side to put that wheel in the middle. So that's going to give us 2 and 21/32 on each side. So I'm going to get a few spacers tacked together, and then I'll get each one individually cut off of the same piece. Alright, so I got enough on here to make both spacers and have a little left over. I got 6 inches on there, I need 5 something. I'm just going to throw some tacks on here. I've got them pushed up against the side of the jaw to hold them tight, and I got them all pushed down so they're all running even. We got that all welded up. We'll grind it flat. Alright, so now that I got that ground down all nice and rough, it looks great. We'll lop the lengths we need off of each end so we keep a factory edge. Put that edge against the bearings. So I got my caliper set. I'll repeat from the other side. We should have enough here. Yep. So those will be our 2 pieces, this one here and this one here. I want to cut on the inside, or the outside, I guess. I want to cut on the outside of this line here and the outside of this line here. The straighter the better. So let's mess this up. All right, we got our spacers made. They're definitely not perfect, but they will do. This front wheel is directional, so this time we will make sure we get it put on the right direction, which will be this way. Start our bolt. Get 1 spacer, we'll put that factory edge against the bearing. Get it through the wheel. Take our other spacer, factory edge towards the bearing. And then we'll put our nut on. That looks pretty good. We might end up with a washer on each side because I did cut them a little on the short side, but it looks all right. All right, so I'm ready to get our split sprocket put on there. We got a split sprocket from, you guessed it, Kart Supply. It's a 40 chain, 56 tooth. We got writing on each half. So this one here says Kart Supply across it here, and this one has the tooth count. So we'll put those facing the same direction. That's how I'm gonna do it. Is it right? I don't know. That's how I'm gonna do it. And I'm just gonna stick this on there. Just gonna get all the bolts started on this half. And then I'll do the second half. Got the 56 facing out. I'm gonna put the Kart Supply facing out. We'll just make sure that we get those pushed together when we snug her down. There's our split sprocket installed. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get our engine put in. I just went with your normal 212 Predator. So I'm going to pull this out of the box and get it put in that frame. See how she looks. So I'm planning on going torque converter, and I know on these CT200U-EX frames you got to have a 1-inch riser. So I made these a long time ago, so I'll just use them on here. And we ended up with a non-hammy. We'll just slide it in. Got a 2.5-inch bolt. I'm just gonna start them. So with that motor in place, now I can go ahead and get my throttle put on there. So in this build I decided to go with a thumb throttle. So that's my thumb throttle there. Get it slid in place. Then we'll get our grip put on so we know where that thumb throttle needs to be. Now let's take the top off of this thumb throttle. 2 screws, the top, and there's a little gasket. Take the side with the big barrel on it, and it just goes in its slot there, and you curve it around this way. And it just sits right in there like that. Put your gasket back in place and your cap and your 2 screws. So we'll need to take this air box off. 2 10mm nuts. Pop that breather hose off. That air box right off of there. So I took the throttle stop out of the thumb throttle up here. We're gonna do the same down here. Take this throttle stop off. So I'm gonna go full throttle. Then I'm gonna loosen this nut right here until it decides to return the throttle by itself. There she goes. Right there. Still a little tight. Just give it another little turn. And that's pretty good there. You have a spring in the thumb throttle to help pull that. It's not a very strong spring, but it's still a spring. So if you're going to use a Nibby or a Mikuni style slide carburetor, you need this. I don't. I'm just going to cut it right off. I'm going to loosen up the clamp. I like to use the back one. It doesn't really matter. You can use whatever one you want. And then I need to loosen up this clamp. I'll take my throttle cable and route it. How I like to route it is like this. Put it through the clamp. Right there, and I'll clamp that one down. And feed your cable through this one. Man, I don't know if that's long enough. So before I get it back far enough to put this cable through and clamp it, it's pulling the throttle on me. So I need it to be probably about right there, and we're just barely too short. So I'm going to take that off, and I'm going to cut a little bit off the sleeve. All right, I cut a little bit off of there. We did lose our piece there, but what are you going to do? So we'll put it back in here. And we should have enough length now. So we'll reclamp this down. Now we'll feed it through some cable nut. And I'll pull it just before it starts affecting that throttle. So I'm going to go right about there. and I'll snug this screw down. And we'll get that airbox put back on. And pushing on that thumb throttle. Looks pretty good. So that's going to do it for this episode of Nick's Mini Bikes. Didn't quite get as far as I wanted to. I would have liked to got the torque converter put on there and actually tried to ride it, but had some stuff come up and I had to go out of town for quite a while. So we got done what we got done, and we'll try to get more done in the next one. So make sure you like, share, comment, and subscribe, and we'll catch you on the next one. Thanks for watching.